Wonderful. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bassam Haddad, and this is the Real Football Podcast, episode 7. Today, our podcast is titled Summer 2022 and World Cup 2022. That's Debacles, and what's the last word, Matt?
Dystopia.
Dystopia. All right. Well, we have with us our Sheikh Matt Atteberry. We have with us also the author of a new book that we will be featuring, Abdullah Al-Arian. We also have with us in the studio Khaled Namez,
Please refer to me as the esteemed.
the esteemed Khaled Namez, and Elie Haddad from Beirut. And of course, we have Abdullah from Doha, Matt from Baltimore, and we are in Fairfax, Virginia. Welcome to this episode. We've been waiting for this because it's going to be about the World Cup as well as many other things. There's a lot of discussion that we have on our Real Football group, which is a podcast, which is a list that addresses football matters and politics, and this podcast mirrors it. We often have a number of people on the podcast, and usually we have regulars, and most of the regulars are here. Matt, why don't you launch us into a discussion of what this particular episode is about? And we all understand that you're having a heart attack, that Longley finally joined Tottenham.
I don't want to talk about Clement Longley. After I've insulted him roughly for the past 5 episodes in a row, the fact that he is now transferred to Spurs as a loan signing causes me indescribable physical, mental, and emotional pain. So, on that subject, let's move on to other transfers like Holland going to Manchester City, Barcelona spending like a drunk, and of course, the Chelsea number 9 curse striking once again. Can't hear you, Bassam.
So I'm saying, shall we start? This is sort of your game. Get us going, however you like, or you can pick up with a rant of your choice.
I personally think we should start with Barcelona before going on to the actual subject matter of the World Cup, because time is of the essence, and the less I say about Clement Longley, the happier and longer my life will be.
Okay, well, what do you want to talk about when you say Barcelona? Because I know that we have a difference of opinion, you and I. You're not as optimistic. I am optimistic. I don't know what others feel, but is this what you want to
They
talk
are
about?
broke.
Sorry?
They are broke.
Oh, yeah,
Barcelona
sure.
couldn't get a loan to get a credit card, let alone they should not be signing Lewandowski for 50 million.
So, can somebody explain to me how they're doing it? Can do they have like
I
a
can
The
magic?
actually.
levers.
Yes, levers. So basically, what they're doing is they've sold something like 45 to 25%, and I realize I did that math backwards. Basically, they are short selling their own long term television rights and media rights in order to finance short term gains like Lewandowski.
But that's not sustainable
and
long
other
term.
players.
No, it is not sustainable at all, which is part of why I'm convinced Barcelona should just go bankrupt.
That's pretty harsh for a club that has global appeal. That's
Well,
where does
sure,
that come from, Matt?
but sure, they have global appeal, but unlike certain teams, which totally aren't mine, they are not short term sustainable as well as long term sustainable. And I'm genuinely concerned that what does Lewandowski bring to the table that Barcelona couldn't get out of Memphis Depay?
Uh,
Sure, he's a
Consistent goals.
sexier global name, but
Yeah.
financially, I think Barcelona is setting themselves up to fail.
I love Memphis Depay, but your comparison here doesn't hold water because Memphis Depay goes in and out based on, I don't know, the way the moon goes around the earth. Whereas Lewandowski will be more consistent.
Uh,
Ili, you wanted to say something, and then
yep.
Abdullah.
Laporte, the president of Barcelona, will either end up being a savior that they will actually more than adore, or he's going to be run out of town. And most likely, he's going to be a savior because he knows how to generate money. He only could become president if he was able to single-handedly secure 145 million euros to be able to become the president of Barcelona. So the guy has connections. I do not agree with what he's doing. In a way, I do agree with Matt. They have mortgaged their future. They have sold rights for their future. But that's the only way they could survive. This is the only way. If they don't do it that way, they cannot generate any more money. With the last deal that they made with Spotify, they made enough money that they're able to do these signings, and they were able to get rid of Longley, which is good news for us.
Nice. Abdullah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously a bit biased because I have very strong anti-Barcelona feelings. So
Khaled?
I'll,
Thank you, Abdullah. خلاص. Khaled.
I mean, there are two paths they could have followed. One, the responsible thing obviously would have been to kind of ride out these really difficult few years, try to get back to solvency, try to kind of balance the books as much as possible, and then find a way to slowly rebuild. And yes, they would have lost a lot in terms of fan support and a lot of matches in the process, and they probably wouldn't be competing for the next 3 to 5 years potentially. But it would have been the long-term, more responsible move. I mean, I think what's strange, going back to not just Lewandowski, but the number of signings. I mean, even teams with money don't make the number of signings that a broke and heavily indebted Barcelona team was making. And I think that's what's so puzzling, considering how many players they've been getting in the past, not just looking at Memphis, but even someone like Aubameyang. So now you have three potential starting number 9 strikers. You also have all of these wingers that they're stacking. We saw what Ansu Fati did off the bench and the kind of tremendous potential that he has, and yet he's probably the second or third in line for that position given how much they've spent. So in some ways, it's a very curious thing to almost spend for its own sake rather than with any kind of clear plan. And they still have a player in Koundé who they haven't registered, and if they don't find a way to come up with even more money by the end of the month, they won't be able to register him at all, and they'll have to kind of give up that signing. The transfer I want to talk about is the one that didn't happen. Matt, I noticed in your program notes you mentioned, Mbappe flirting with Real Madrid. I'd go a lot further. It was not just flirting. I mean, he left them at the altar.
Lahza, this is a rated
This was,
PG show.
I was trying to keep the language as clean as possible. So, but you're right.
I mean, yeah, this was a transfer that was all but done. And I think it was obviously shocking to a lot of people. And I think looking behind the story in terms of what really happened, we have the first instance, I think, of a non-transfer fee paid, right? So in this case, they paid their own player, PSG did, $125 million to not leave. And I think this is a sign of things to come. And we have to kind of expect that as much as players have a lot of power to dictate where they're going, a lot of clubs are going to try and trump that with as much, bags of cash essentially as possible. So obviously it was a huge blow to Real Madrid and their hopes for getting kind of their next, generational talent. But, Madrid will carry on and Paris will go another season without winning the Champions League.
I completely agree with you on your Champions League predictions. Just there's something to be said about playing good teams week in and week out versus playing a bunch of farmers from Montpellier.
What's wrong with farmers? And also, what's wrong with drug addicts? You called Barcelona spending money like drug addicts. What do you have against all these groups?
I don't have anything against anybody except Arsenal fans and Clement Longley, Bassam. I think the way that Barcelona is spending their money is totally and completely irresponsible. And also, I think this shows that I'm a Spurs fan, is that our club is very financially sustainable. We're very concerned about making sure that our accounting books are all up to order. And Barcelona just doesn't have to worry about these things because they're Barcelona, so they can just create money out of thin air, and that kind of annoys me as a
Matt,
fan.
can I ask you? Can I ask you a question? What would make what kind of season, what kind of result would make the current financial behavior justifiable for Barcelona?
winning the Champions League.
So if they in your book, if they won the Champions League, then
You
this
could
would.
maybe justify it, but
But
I don't
how
think
about
they
La
will
Liga?
because their defense is crap. But it's a different story.
How about La Liga? And why are we asking you? Who the hell cares what you think? No, I'm joking. How about La Liga?
Uh,
La Liga doesn't have the same global financial impacts as the Champions League, and imagine leveraging your club's financial future for Andreas Christensen, that mediocre former Chelsea defender. Imagine doing that
Who
and
who do you
doing it with a straight face.
who do you hate more, Chelsea or Arsenal
but
fans or Longley? I know it's tough.
You're
Christensen
gonna have
though
to come
came
back to
for
me on
free.
that one.
Okay, think about it. Elie, what do you got?
Christensen came for free, but I really like what Abdullah said, and it is exactly. Um, it made a lot of common sense to do what Abdullah suggested, but we're talking about Barcelona. They're not going to do this. Uh, when Laporta took over from Bartomeu, it already was a sinking ship. So there is no way, there is nothing else to do but to take these risks. I don't agree with them, but I think that's the path they're on. And I do disagree with Matt. Winning the La Liga would definitely justify it because that's going to bring them more money. The La Liga, in some part of the world, rival the EPL, and in some parts, it's even more number one, even ahead of the EPL. But Champions League on top of it will basically make Laporte a saint.
And they're not going to win any of those things. Madrid's going to win La Liga, and I don't think Barcelona has the defense to compete in the Champions League.
Well, the good news is that your analysis of the past has always been much stronger than your analysis of the future, Matt. So let's see. I think you're off on the La Liga thing, unless somebody like I don't know, Hazard, or I don't know, find his form. Either way, we'll see. I hope that this will not be the case, because I am looking forward to Messi returning next year to
He's not
Barcelona.
going to do that.
Well, I just wanted to say Messi because I know that you don't like
They're
it when I,
broke
when
as
I
a
praise
joke.
him. طيب. Look, let's move on to the World Cup
Speaking of
topic.
Messi,
Yeah.
Bassam,
Oh
do
my
you
God.
think Messi can lead Argentina to the World Cup?
Messi is going to lead Argentina to the World Cup and win the World Cup in 2018 after they revise their mistakes. And he will also win the 2022 World Cup. And he might actually stick around for the US World Cup. طيب.
So you,
Let's.
you actually think that Messi can lead Argentina to win the World Cup?
Yeah, have you seen him
Am I hearing
yesterday?
this?
Have you seen him yesterday? Anyway, let's just move on to the World Cup. Actually, yeah. How shall we start, Matt? Since you're the engineer of this episode.
Well, I think where we should start is how do you all think that the host nation is going to do? Because this is really uncharted territory. This is the first host from that region of the world. And hosts historically at least always make the knockouts, with the one exception being South Africa in 2010. But I don't know about the rest of you all, but I have not watched as much of the Qatar national team to be able to make any sort of determinations.
Looking at the group, Matt.
They're in
Sorry.
an easy group.
Yeah, looking at the group, we got the Netherlands, Senegal, and Ecuador. I don't see them really beating any of these
I
teams. They
think
just
they can beat all three of them because Ecuador is the weakest of the four. Senegal, Mendy, their goaltender, Edouard Mendy, has been playing pretty badly for the last few months, and
super
form is a
inconsistent.
factor.
Yeah.
And then you throw in the Netherlands, and Bassam, I know this hurts your soul to hear this because you love the Netherlands about as much as you love Messi. The Netherlands are bad. they're relying on old Louis van Gaal to try and manage them to glory one
I,
more
I would
time.
I would
I
love
don't
to
see
hear
it.
what Abdullah has to say about Qatar's chances in this group.
Yeah, I mean, I have been watching a decent amount of Qatar. I think the national team has performed really well. So they're the current champions of Asia. They won the Asian Cup in very convincing fashion. They won, I think, against Japan 3-1 in
They
the
did win
final
against
for that
Japan.
tournament. They destroyed both the Saudi and Emirati national sides in that tournament. They've really come together, and I think the fact that they knew they had this tournament going on, 12 years ago is when the announcement happened, meant that they had quite some time to invest in really building a team. And this is not just a question of just like importing foreign talent, but it's homegrown talent. It's getting, some really, really decent coaching. And not only did they win the Asian Cup, but even as recently as this last December, they made it to the semifinals of the Arab Cup, which is a first of its kind FIFA tournament, and they ended up winning in the third place match against Egypt. Right? Again, traditionally a stronger side, so they've kind of proven themselves at least that they belong in this tournament and that they deserve to be taken seriously to a certain extent. Do I think they'll win the group? Probably unlikely given the strength of both Senegal and the Netherlands, but they might be able to sneak into that second spot, depending on how the other results go. And if they're able to squeak out some points here and there, a draw, maybe two draws in a win, or a win and a draw, or something like that could be just enough to get that second spot, depending on who's in first, whether it's Netherlands or Senegal. But even if they don't make it to the knockout stage, I don't think that'll be a surprise for anyone. So I think the pressure is actually not that high, despite being the host nation, given how low the expectations are. That pressure isn't really there.
Thanks, Abdullah.
When we're talking about teams that do have pressure, there is one that immediately springs to mind. Of course, I'm referring to England. Is it coming home?
Very
And I
highly
just want to hear
unlikely.
someone else say the word no other than me, because I know
No,
England's.
no. Very highly unlikely, but I do agree about Qatar. They're the host nation, and the team is going to have full stadium behind them, and they're going to do a lot of surprises. Traditionally, home teams do surprise other countries in their own group. So it's an open race. You really can't disqualify Ecuador either. Ecuador has a very good team. So you never know what's going to happen. But England, no way. I don't see it.
Yeah. And one
Unfortunately.
other question about Group B is who is under more pressure to perform? Captain America, Christian Pulisic, or Mr. Wales Golf Madrid himself, Mr. Gareth Bale?
Well, Bale is on his way. This might be the last chance, his last chance to do anything since his heydays way back when he moved to
Before his
Real.
hamstrings fell apart, yes.
That's right. So maybe this would be his last hurrah. What I have England and the USA making it through. Iran, I actually have not seen them play, so I would welcome some.
Hey, wait a minute, Khaled. Look at the other camera so that we can say we have a camera.
We have a different camera, yeah. How many cameras do we have?
Oh, there's this one. Hey, and then there's us.
Wow,
Okay,
so
never mind.
fancy. Yeah, so I have England and the USA making it out of Group B. What do you guys think?
I have England and Wales. I've watched too much of Gareth Bale.
Are you being racist
No.
because you're from Scotland or something, and you want
Yes,
the
my
countries
family's from
around you?
Scotland. Iran can't defend set pieces. They've struggled against headers for years.
Yeah,
And
Iran
I've seen
has.
this movie before.
Well, they're
What's
they're
going to
under.
happen is it's going to come down to them versus Wales, and then Gareth Bale is going to pull some magic that we haven't seen in a while out of his hat, score a wonderful
Free
goal,
kick. Mm-hmm.
and then Aaron Ramsey's going to score, and then some celebrity's going to die because that's what happens when Aaron Ramsey scores goals.
Well, Iran is under a lot of sanctions, so the set pieces actually affect that. They don't have they can't import the things that help you defend
How are
against set pieces.
sanctions impacting their ability to defend a free header?
You can't buy the plastic
Yeah, they have
wall.
to. Yeah, you know how they have these boards in the training, basically room,
They
and
can make them out of cardboard or wood.
they could. I don't think they thought about that already.
You should let them know.
Okay, hold on a second.
All right, moving on to Group C. Yes.
Iran. Before we go there, Iran and USA is going to be the game to watch in that group
Yep.
because this is such an emotional game for the Iranians.
It should also be. Yeah.
It is going to be beyond football. It's going to be country and honor and all this kind of stuff that they will be thinking about.
Well,
I'm not quite sure.
I mean,
how
I would
this is
say
going to
even
play. It's going to be huge.
for the history nerds, I mean, this is perfect. This is the Operation
Iran, yeah.
Ajax group, right?
1953.
This is the 53 coup that was a U.S. and England or UK sponsored coup in Iran, which was just commemorated. I think in the last couple of days we passed that.
Yep. And that's why
anniversary.
Iran should play both at the same time. where England and the United States hijack the field and install like a nice dictator instead.
Okay.
طيب.
Very
I'm on
glad
board with that.
you don't make the laws of the game, Bassam.
Well, I'm just looking at the history and how this. A lot of people have actually tweeted about this. It's very interesting how they talk about this, and like Elie said, that this is going to be a nice showdown. In all cases, let's move to Group C. Okay,
We already know who you have winning.
we don't
so-
need, but we don't need to talk about this. It's obvious. So Argentina. No, I'm joking. But I'm looking forward to this group because Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland, with the caveat that Mexico, I think, lost one of its players in the past few days because of an injury. One of its main
Yes,
players.
he did. He's out for. I think he tore his Achilles.
Yeah. But this is going to be very interesting for now, the number 2 spot, and Poland might actually potentially, I don't get ahead of Argentina. I don't know.
Poland is underachieved ever since I've been alive. Essentially, for some reason, Lewandowski turns into butter whenever he plays for his national team versus playing with those great players at Bayern. And it
You
doesn't
expect
help
one
that-
player to carry the whole team?
I expect the talismanic goal scorer to be able to not play like complete word I'm not going to use, but
Sure.
the problem with Poland also is that they have this Aston Villa reject, Matty Cash, who, when he's not deliberately injuring Spurs players, he's absolutely useless.
So between Poland and Mexico, you would pick Mexico?
I'm picking Mexico because it's fated in the stars that Mexico are going to lose in the round of 16 like they always do.
Yes, consistently do
All
so.
right.
What
Fun
do
fact
we
about
think of
Mexico.
what do we think of Saudi Arabia? Even without making it out of the group, anybody has been following? What's their level like recently?
They might give everybody at Newcastle citizenship and have them play with Saudi Arabia.
That's the best idea.
That might not be the worst idea, but fun fact about Mexico is they actually hold the record for most losses in a World Cup
Wow.
in their history, which is funny because they've never even made it past the quarterfinals.
Well, that's why, right?
So you can always bet on Mexico making it to the round of 16 and then flailing about.
That's why, because they are in this category where they always make it, but never really make it after they make it. So listen, we have a few other groups, and I know that we're approaching the 2 p.m. Mark. So let's try to move a little faster. Any other comments on Group C?
I mean, I would just ask the broader question about how we feel about groups that actually are not as competitive. So if there's one dominant team, whether it's England in Group B or Argentina in Group C, is that good or bad for those teams going forward to not have had as difficult matches in the first in their group stages?
It's not
What
good.
It's not good, right?
No, I don't think it's good. At the
I
same
don't
time,
think
it
it's
doesn't
good,
have to be.
especially with
It doesn't have to
lunatics
be
like
bad.
Matty Cash there to injure people.
Okay. Shall we move to Group D?
Yes, and the
France.
real big question about Group D is: will the real France please stand up?
Okay.
They
Where do
do
we
have
go
a
from
lot
here?
of they have a huge potential, right? A lot of talent, a lot of young players. They could probably have two teams if they wanted to. Uh, Matt, what's your objection about France? Why are you doubting their chances?
Because they were so bad at the Euros. Quite frankly, they were so disappointing and underwhelming. Part of me wonders: will they reach their potential, or will they crash and burn?
Any specifics? Is it about team chemistry? Is it
It's
about
about
miss?
chemistry. It's about obviously their defense because they employ Clement Longley, and also I'm not sold that Deschamps' heart is in his job, and if he's not just looking over his shoulder for Zidane to replace him any day now.
All right. Any
Big
because we really
statements.
have to move forward, folks. Any quick comments, Eli and Abdullah, on this? I will just throw, since I'm
Uh,
talking now, I'll throw out that I think Tunisia and Denmark will be a decisive game, but I'm hoping that Tunisia will make it. All they need to do is make sure that they're consistent because they're brilliant and then they're not. And it's the case with Morocco as well. But Abdullah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, I'm really curious to see if Tunis can really deliver. You know, that's one of the few Arab teams in this tournament, so they're playing on semi-home soil in a way. And yeah, I expect them to be really competitive in a tough group.
Eli?
uh, I think France, if they make the mistake of playing the same team from last World Cup or the majority of it, they're not going to end up going all the way. If Deschamps will make a good and strong, courageous decision and play and have the young, hungry players in, they will go a long way.
I think if they, from my own bias, I think if play Benzema and Dembele and take out Griezmann and kind of monitor Pogba based on how the moon aligns with the stars,
Yeah.
they will be great.
I
All right,
realize this
all
has
right.
nothing to do with the World Cup, but let's all take a moment to laugh at Manchester United.
Okay, that was good.
What
All
a
right,
dumpster fire that is.
dumpster fire. Khalid, I'm always amazed by how you pick up
Americanisms.
Americanisms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what a
collect them.
dumpster fire
Yeah,
that
I mean
is.
it's such a great
You're
expression.
a sick puppy. Okay, yalla. Uh, this is Dirar's favorite. Group E:
I mean, the
Spain,
big question
Germany.
here is whether Spain will once again be infected by Alvaro Morata disease.
Isn't this one of the easier ones? Save for Costa Rica having our awesome goalkeeper Navas.
In theory, it is, but the Germans have played so badly over the last few years.
The
I'm
Germans will
losing
always be fine.
confidence
Let's
in them.
let's just not pretend that they're not gonna be fine. They're always gonna be fine.
My father said the exact same thing when I was trying to work through some deeper analytical stuff, and he's like, Matthew, they're the Germans. They're gonna do what they do. Shut up.
Well, I hope they end up losing, but they will be fine in the sense that they will make it. But yeah, I hope that they don't actually go beyond, beyond the next round. I don't think all the negative publicity about Germany is going to comport with the reality. I think Germany will do better than what a lot of people are expecting. But in this particular group, is there anybody who wants to say anything beyond Spain and Germany are likely to make it so we can go on? We really have
I
to
think
move much faster.
Spain and Germany will play for a tie in their first game, so that they can get both Japan and Costa Rica dumped.
The one intriguing thing about Japan is their young player Kubo. He's 21. He's been touted as the Japanese Messi. He used to play for Real Madrid.
Wasn't
Now he
much
plays
of a
for Real
Messi.
Sociedad.
Wasn't much of a Messi yesterday in the game.
No, just I think Kubo and
Barcelona.
Navas are the only two real intriguing wild card players for either Japan or Costa Rica.
Did you know that they both use Android phones?
Who?
Navas and Kubo.
Okay.
Yalla. Group F.
This is, I
Abdullah.
think, the most interesting group in the tournament
Yep. We have a
because you have
Moroccan
two
here.
very old squads in Belgium and Croatia. You've got the young up and comers in Canada, and then you've got Morocco, who are just a complete mess.
Hey, hey, hey. We have a Moroccan
No,
national
I
sitting
agree
here.
with you. That's especially relevant after the recent news. So Morocco
I mean, they
fired.
just fired their coach last week.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is not this is the third time that this happens to Khaliluzic because of the way he handles the team, the way he handles the team's chemistry, the way he treats the players. So that the Moroccan Federation made the decision to sacrifice the coach to bring back valuable players such as Hakim Ziyech, who can definitely be game changers. One thing that Morocco always suffered from is that individually these are good players that play in competitive leagues that are above average. Some of them are even really good, like Ziyech. But as a team, historically, Morocco rarely gelled. The team's chemistry has always been lacking. It remains to be seen whether this World Cup will be a change.
Yeah, and maybe, hopefully, Morocco will employ the same tactics they employed in that one Olympics, where in the relay they were actually cheating.
Is Lebanon in the World Cup?
It is in
Do
the
you,
World Cup,
do you,
but not
do you-
officially.
they're in the stands.
Actually, there are so many Lebanese in Doha, so yeah. All right. Any other comments, Elie and Abdullah, on this group? Since I'm talking, I'm gonna also say, I think it'll be Belgium. Thanks to Khaled, who alerted me after living 37 years in the United States. That's me. That it's actually 38 years. That is actually Belgium. For 37 and a half years, I was saying Belgium, which I think Elise was also saying. It turns out that you don't pronounce the I. Thank you, Khaled.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
All right.
Abdullah?
I'll just add on Croatia. I mean, I think we're all lucky that we get to see a few more matches of Luka Modric, the best player in
Absolutely.
the last World Cup, and this being kind of his swan song, and he somehow continues to get better with age. So, yeah, let's hope they can make it out of that group so that we can watch more Luka.
Yeah, well, I hope they don't, so that Morocco can make it. But at least, hopefully, either Morocco or Tunisia will make it. But
Yeah.
something tells me that Croatia is going to go forward. Elie,
And
any
then, of
any
course, Canada has their
I,
golden generation, so they're nothing to sneeze at either.
it's
Canada?
Canada's
Yeah.
first, I think, first appearance, isn't it, Matt?
No, they made it in
Second?
2002 as well.
Okay.
Are they gonna wear
Belgium,
football
the
shoes
golden
or
generation.
hockey?
Belgium
That was
golden
bad.
generation has this chance and only this chance to prove themselves. It all depends on how much work they can produce, good work and produce between De Bruyne and the attackers. If they happen to be on the same wave, I think they'll go really far.
Well, yeah. Lukaku is having a better time this year than last year, so that might be a boost. And if Hazard is able to improve his form, that would be an amazing threesome up top. But all right, let's move. Unless Abdullah wants to say something. No, you're good. Okay, so let's move to Group G, which is Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon.
Is this the group of death?
No, but it has the most contentious game of the entire tournament. Serbia and
Which is
Switzerland hate each other, but that's because a lot of the Swiss
Swiss.
national team, are the children of Kosovar refugees that fled during the wars of the 1990s.
Yes,
So those two teams hate each other.
that's going to be
It's the
very
one time
contentious.
Shaqiri loves doing, and I believe this is I guess it's an Albanian national symbol, the double eagle. He does this with his
Yeah.
hands.
got
And
him
that
in trouble
never
last
fails
time.
to piss off the Serbs.
But
Yeah.
didn't he break up with Gerard Piqué recently?
No, that's Shakira.
That's Shakira,
I
Bassam.
But
see.
although his hips don't lie either.
All right.
So it's just so we don't devolve any further. Who do you have out of this group, Group G? Abdullah, who do you have? Who's number one, number two?
I mean, I gotta go Brazil for the whole thing because I think we've seen too many European winners of the World Cup lately. So it's been 20 years since there's been a non-European country to win it, and I think we gotta push for Brazil or Argentina. Of those two, I'm gonna say Brazil surprises us. We don't know, who's gonna step up, but I imagine someone like Vinicius might have a breakout in this World Cup.
And it looks like
Jesus
Neymar
on
is
fire.
actually playing consistently for the first time in since he left Barcelona. So that might be a plus. And I just want to interrupt this show quickly to say that I listened to Matt and I got my jersey. This is a jersey that Noura got me, my partner, and it's very big. So not up here, but it kind of reaches below my knees. So I
You can
cannot
wear it without shorts.
I cannot wear it, but this is in in preparation for the World Cup. I'll be wearing it when we're watching Holland, and of course it says in it has nice things everywhere. So
Very good, very good.
all right, next.
Group
Anybody
H.
else?
Group H.
Group H. Hey,
Ooh,
or some
that's
people say
another
H.
revenge game.
All right, Group H. Let's go. Since I'm talking, I'll start. I really hope Portugal does well. I mean, you have so many fantastic players. I mean, let's put, of course, Ronaldo aside, but Diogo Jota is one of my favorite players. Of course, Fernando. Well, Fernando. Or Fernandez, and the PSG center. What's his name? Midfielder. What's his name? The guy that is dazzling
The
at
new,
PSG.
yeah, the new one.
The
The new one
Vitas,
that joined.
Vitis, something like this. Shibitis.
Bernardo Sanchez.
La la la. Something. He's a little guy. He is like sort of a double for Messi. He plays in a very similar manner. He's really dazzling in the midfield. So I think Portugal and Uruguay are going to move forward unless we have upsets. Any other comments, Matt, Elie, Abdullah, Khaled?
Yes, I think that the Ghana Uruguay game is going to be really nasty. There's going to be at least one red card there because they're still pissed off at Luis Suarez for that handball 12 years ago in South Africa.
Unforgettable.
And
Yep.
I also think, and again, maybe this is me being biased as a Spurs fan, but I would not underestimate South Korea. I think they'll give somebody a bad time.
Again, one player
I think
cannot
they
carry the
will.
whole team. Go ahead, Elie.
They will give everybody a really tough time. By the way, I was at that Ghana Uruguay match in South Africa. I was there live and I saw it. And Suarez being one of my favorite center forwards, I really think Uruguay really will be able to take what Ghana is going to give them because Ghana's emotions going to get the best of them. And if they happen to control their emotions, they will do really well. But I think it's going to be a very emotional game for them. So I am picking Portugal and Uruguay.
Abdullah?
Yeah, I mean, I think Portugal Uruguay might be my most anticipated for group stage match of the entire cup. It's just such an interesting matchup. Uruguay always surprises; they always impress. Again, that one scandal aside, for such a small country, they really have such a rich football legacy, and I think they'll come through with so much talent right now in all positions. I mean, in defense, in midfield, and up front. So,
Is it
I think
because
we
of the
can expect
language?
big things from them. Yeah, probably.
They can understand each other, so they cannot say, things that the other team cannot understand.
Well,
No,
they speak
Ashmel,
Spanish.
Ashmel, to the right, to the right. They understand, like, hey, I can figure it out. Okay, Khaled is signaling that I should
Benching
stop.
core will be
All
a
right.
factor for Uruguay at this tournament.
All right, folks. Well, there we have it. A World Cup in which we are going to be entertained nonstop. Matt, how do you want to close this? Should we talk? Shall we talk about quick nominations for potential winners and why? Can we at least agree that the top four would be Brazil, France, and then who?
We have to mention them, even though they're going to fail. England.
Ew. Okay. Really? I
They're
think.
genuinely one of the best teams in the world. It's just their manager is a total idiot.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he
Yeah.
did. I mean, that's how they lost
He
the
put
Euro
a
Cup.
How
he
about
put a teenager on a penalty kick. That
Two
is
of them. Two of them.
poor kids? How about the winner and the dark horse? What's your pick, Matt?
for the winner. I have France winning, but I have Uruguay as my dark horse because they are always so well organized that they're gonna cause somebody some issues.
Okay, I can
Belgium
go
are
next.
just too old, and Croatia's too old as well.
I can go next. I also have France winning, and I have England as a dark horse. I think somehow they'll be able to, contrary to all
Overcome the fact that
expectations,
their manager is a baboon.
overcome the bad management. I think they get. I'll leave it there. Abdullah.
I'll go Brazil, as I said before, and I don't know if this counts, but Portugal is a dark horse. I mean, they've never been to a final, so I guess they would technically be an underdog.
Elie?
England and France are in the same side of the bracket, so one of them will have to make it, not both. On the other side, you have Brazil and Germany and Spain on the same side of the bracket, and one of them will make it. Argentina has the Netherlands on the other side, and one of them will make it to the semis.
Do we know
So
already?
this,
Do we know already how they're locked
yes,
in? How?
yes, we do. It's in the bracket how they end up getting there, and then Belgium and Portugal
Elie,
and
it's Belgium.
Uruguay
You
are
cannot pronounce the
same.
I according to Khaled. You don't.
Belgium,
Belgium.
Belgica, Belgica.
خيي نحن
So you have
نقول
Belgium as the dark horse, yeah?
Portugal and Uruguay are on the same side. I would say Argentina, Brazil will play for the semi, and France and Portugal will play on the other side.
Bassam?
I think Brazil or Argentina will win the World Cup. More likely Brazil, and then the dark horse, which is not so dark, is Netherlands because they make it to the final 3 out of 4 times and they always lose. So that's me. Abdullah, did you do yours?
He did.
Can you do it again? I wasn't paying attention. No, I'm joking. All right.
Can we rewind?
All right. So let me buckle up here. Look, I still have this. I haven't worn it yet. Any other gossip issues to discuss, Matt, before we let people go back to their lives?
Not really gossip, just Lord, why did we sign Clement Longley? We literally could have signed any other player in the world, and I wouldn't hate it so much. But instead, here I am forced. If Tottenham win a trophy this season, I will buy a Clement Longley jersey.
Don't worry, it won't
I'm
happen.
I'm promising you all that now. I'm aware that, Spurs don't win trophies.
Okay. All right. Any other gossip items? Can we talk about how Ronaldo's going to explode if he doesn't play for a team that will compete in the Champions League?
That isn't hot garbage.
He's not even starting today against Liverpool in about an hour or less than an hour.
Oh, good. That means they'll lose. That I'll win my parlay because I have Liverpool winning 4-0.
Okay. Abdullah, any gossip items on your agenda?
No gossip, but it is sad to see Ronaldo go out like that.
I agree. Even though he's the
He did it to himself
competitor
anyway.
to Messi, but I really respect the guy. I think he's a very unique talent, and it's really very bad situation he got himself into. Joining Man U last year, he should have opted for Man City, and he will still be up there.
Okay, my gossip item is basically whether Mbappe and Neymar are going to get along. Because I think if they get along, PSG will win the Champions League this year. The only other contender I see is Man City.
PSG's defense is too fragile, and they're too mentally fragile as well. I've never seen a collection of grown men act as childishly as the PSG starting 11.
Okay,
That was
what
last year, Matt.
Abdullah? What are your
We've been
guesses?
saying that since 2008.
Abdullah, what is your guess regarding Champions League? Considering that you won the competition last year from the Real Football Group, you won the competition last year, and it was a couple of other people before. Khalid won one, I won one, Amir won the other, Matt, of course, won none because it involves the future.
I'm always riding with Madrid. I mean, that's why I lost the previous couple, but it's always a good bet. I think they're looking strong. They're getting younger.
So you're betting on
Casemiro's a big
black
loss,
in
but
the roulette. You know, it's gonna come back to black at some point.
yeah, basically that's Madrid. It's a sure bet at some point. And again, I mean, PSG and Man City are showing year after year that money alone is not buying this trophy. This is a special trophy that needs something extra. Maybe they'll do it, but from what we're seeing right now, I don't think so. The chemistry just isn't there with Paris. I don't know who the coach is of that team. Is it Mbappe or is it this new guy they brought in?
I mean,
It's
if you
Mbappe's
want the
sister,
actual manager's name, his name is Gaultier, I think.
Gaultier, yeah, which is basically a really nice perfume, but I don't think it's popular now.
No, I like
Jean
it.
Paul Gaultier.
I like it. I
Gaultier.
had it.
Okay, another gossip item is man,
I have one.
go ahead.
Well, the
Oh no, okay, fine. Go ahead. I'll remember it. Okay.
you'll remember it.
Huh? I will remember it.
Okay. Will the Ghanaian team be caught taking selfies with wads of cash this World Cup?
Who?
The Ghanaian team,
Why?
because the
Because that happened
Nigerian.
last time they were at the World
Oh,
Cup.
I
Or
see.
something.
Okay, another
If it happens again, you'll find out about it on this podcast.
another question. It's not gossip. Will Holland or Lewandowski or Benzema score more goals this year in the at the club level, or Mbappe?
Holland.
Elie?
I hate to say this because I really am not a Madrid fan. Sorry, Abdullah, but I really like Benzema.
Okay, Abdullah.
I think Benzema will in Spain, but I think Haaland will do it in England and might get the most overall number.
All right, guys. This is awesome. It's 2:09. We're like 55 minutes in, and unless there's something else to discuss, let's keep doing these shows and do them more often because there's a huge gap between the different shows and kind of do at least one before the World Cup because that's gonna be fun. Any other comments, Abdullah, Elie, Khalid?
Looking forward
I'm
to the
just,
competition. Yes, Eli.
yeah, I'm just very excited about having the World Cup be played in the winter. It's going to be a different experience. Some people have said this would be probably the best World Cup. We're going to end up seeing that because the players will not be as tired because it'll be in the middle of the season. So we're not quite sure if that's going to work or not. We'll find out very soon. And I'm looking forward to see the last hurrah from a couple of great players, Messi, Ronaldo, Bale. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay, thank you, Elie. Last word, Abdullah, before we get to Matt and Khalid.
Yeah, I echo everything Elie just said. Bassam, you had an announcement though you were going to make.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it. Okay, so now that Abdullah is speaking, let me just share with you that Abdullah, produced a volume. We all talk about football. He actually produced a book on football, which I will now add it to the screen. Check this out. So basically, we have a recent book titled "Football in the Middle East: State, Society, and the Beautiful Game," and I will ask Abdullah to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this is the result of a 3-year research initiative here at the Center for International Regional Studies based at the Georgetown campus in Qatar. It brought together a number of scholars who work on questions of sports as it intersects with politics, with culture, with economics, with all of these different elements. And so we brought them together and ended up producing this volume that touches on various aspects of the game. Partly, of course, because of the World Cup coming to the region, but really looking beyond that, at historical questions, at broader political questions, at the changes in popular culture, at the role of football in mass mobilization and movements like in the Arab uprising. So there's a lot in this, which I hope people will check out, and maybe we can have a conversation about it at some point.
And I want to say that I will be actually interviewing Abdullah for the next episode of Real Football Podcast this week on Thursday. Hopefully, nothing will interrupt that scheduling. And we will announce it shortly in terms of the time, but it will be around the time that this is happening, maybe noon or 1 p.m. EST. And we'll ask you all sorts of questions about it, Abdullah. And I would actually love for others to join if you are interested. People here, especially people. What did I just do? Okay, all right, there we go. Why is it just Matt here? All right, what happened? Where's Elie?
That's fantastic. I look forward. I look forward to reading that book. When can people get it? When and where?
It's been published by Hearst internationally and by Oxford Press in the U.S. I believe it's available in all sites that you can find it now.
Excellent. We'll make sure to. I'll make sure to order my copy. You getting your copy?
I'm getting my copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting my copy. I'm really looking forward, and we are very proud to have among us like a true author. I really do believe that if Matt, devotes some time, he could write one of the most informative and hilarious books. Of course, it'll be rated R, but it will be quite entertaining and well worth reading. All right. Well, the last word for Khaled, last word because we gotta go.
I'm looking forward to reading your book, Abdullah. I'll end on that.
Yeah, me too. And my last word is I really hope that this is the World Cup that begins or that continues the march that we have seen in the past couple of World Cups, which is the rise of B teams, so that in the future they could compete at a much higher level than in the past. I do think they will present a bigger challenge to the top teams for many, many reasons. I think the clout of Ronaldo and Messi declining last World Cup and definitely this World Cup is going to open all sorts of doors for individuals and teams. And I do hope that the competition becomes less predictable going forward so that we don't say, oh, Brazil, Argentina, France, Spain, Germany, England. So I hope that no longer becomes the case. Thank you all for being here and for joining. I would like to remind you that the Real Football Podcast is on statushour.com. You can watch all of the previous shows, including the first few episodes, which were a little bit more giddy and kind of like funny and fun because I think they were audio. I think the video is a bit more serious for some reason. Hopefully we will change that. Thanks everyone here for joining, and we will see you soon on the next episode. Thanks Abdullah, Elie, Khaled, and Matt.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you guys.
Bye everybody.